Wanted to show some stonework I've been doing. This is a stone called Serpentine. You can find it in Arizona, and mostly it's green, but there's a lot of different variations. You see some have more white in them. This one even has a little bit of yellow, almost reddish, some black, and then some of it's real solid looking like this, but some of it has this kind of translucent look to it. See, this is a real soft stone. You can cut it with a hacksaw. You can file it real easy. You can also do flint knapping with it, chip it into arrowheads, things like that. Some things that I've made out of this, you can make little pieces of jewelry. You can polish it up and it'll shine really well. That's polished up, or shine up to 3000 grit. And these are just little pieces that broke off different projects that I'm doing. This one's in process, a saguaro that I'm making out of stone. Other useful tools, this is a socket for a hand drill set. This is actually layers of serpentine, and there's some, I call it Arizona marble, in between it. So I found that naturally like that. So one thing I've been working on, I've always thought it would be cool to make gauges out of serpentine, but I don't have gauges. I didn't know anybody that did. I've been working with this guy lately that's helping me get through school, and he's got gauges, so I decided for Christmas I was going to make him a thank you. And these are them so far. I'll show you kind of how it works. Working with this stuff. So I actually cut these out of this same piece. So these came from right about there on this piece. First cut little squares out of them, filed them into a circle, and now I'm working on this inner edge. What I did is I've got some 220 grit sandpaper. I start out with 80 to first dig that channel. This is 220 sandpaper, and it's a 2x4 that's got a round edge on it. So it makes it perfect form for this. Serpentine has an asbestos component, so you should probably not work with it, or you should be ventilated real well, or wear a respirator. I like to keep it kind of wet so it doesn't make a lot of dust. But you can see how that shaves away real easy. And it makes for some pretty good crafting because most stone is so hard to work with, but this is pretty much butter soft. That, and then we'll just rinse it off. When stone is wet, that's a good time to see what it's going to look like when it's polished. Of course, this will be smoother. And then I'll just use a wire brush on my sandpaper to keep that clean. I've got some cheap little calipers that I'm measuring. I'm trying to get right about at 8 millimeters on the inner portion. Almost there. Also, when you turn them in your calipers, then you can kind of feel which edges are still have some depth to go, and you can even it out that way. So this is just 220, and I am gonna go up a lot higher on my grit, so I don't wanna get all the way to my perfect diameter just yet. I wanna get within about 1 millimeter, because you can always shave more off, but you can't add any. So this is working on the other one now. That other one's right at about 9 millimeters. This is right about at 10 right now. So I found this stone up in, we're in Arizona, and this stone is mostly up near the Cherry Creek area. If you know where to look, it's actually really common up there, but there's a few areas where it's just all over the place. Big sheets of it laying around. The whole stream is kind of like rolling soft rock, and the water has carved it out over time. So I always try to get pieces that are already broken off, sitting around on the ground. Every now and then I've got to go and shave these edges because they're getting real sharp. And they'll cut you. You can use power tools on this. It's kind of fun to just do it by hand. And also, it's really hard with power tools to not go too far. Because when you're trying to get specific measurements, with hand tools, you just go just a little bit at a time. So we're right about 9.5. When I looked this up, I think I'm going for 0 gauge, which is, the internet showed, some of it showed 8.3 millimeters. Some of it showed 8. So this is all just a shot in the dark to see if they work, but we'll get it right about just over 8. All right, that's just under 9 right there. So I'm gonna switch out my paper. We'll go to a 400. So this one is just a hair over 8. So this one, I think I'm ready to finish it, to polish it up. So I'll do a once over with this 400, knock off all the sharp edges. polish up the face of it. I don't know if it'll make a big difference if the inside is super smooth or not. Sure, I've got some 600 grit. This is the last grit that's really gonna affect our size of it very much. The rest are just gonna polish it up. Working with stone, well, at least with this stone, about 220 is what I use for most of the shaping, unless I'm really just trying to take a lot of the surface off, then I might use 120 or an 80, but about 220 for most of the shaping. And then it's really nice to have grit all the way up to 3000. I usually go 400, 600, 1000, 2000, 3000. And now I'm gonna just start holding it on my hand to get those softer edges. And just taking off these soft edges actually took quite a bit of it off. So hopefully we still have enough of a track in there. All right, we got some 1000. And this is 2000. Now this will really start to shine, get a smooth surface on it. Then for my 3000, I'm gonna do it on the table here. And once you're doing 3000, you really see all any mistakes, any edges that don't match up, any scratches. So you can either go back and start working them out, or you can just keep polishing it and let it be a part of the artwork. It depends what you're doing. So that's one of them that's just about finished. I'm gonna work on the other one and then I'll show you the finished product. So here's the finished product. We'll see how they go. I did kind kind of polish them on just some old jean material to try to give them a little shine at the end. And I'm pretty curious to see if they work or not. They might be too smooth and too heavy. They might just not stay in well. But after I give them to him, I'll have to ask him. I'm pretty happy with how round they ended up for doing it all by hand. Anyways, there's some serpentine stonework.